Hi, I'm Lindsay Ringling, and this is actually my first video on the channel. I decided what a better first video than to record myself doing a self-portrait. Anyways, getting into it, I'm an artist and I do realism and I mainly work with graphite. Although I do work outside of graphite with pens and Prismacolor pencils, graphite is kind of my safe space, and also I mostly do portraits, though like with my medium, I do sometimes do other things, but I'm more comfortable with portraits, as you can see. One thing you may notice off the bat is that I have a shaved head in these drawings, and this shaved head is not due to any condition or anything out of my control. I have chosen to shave my head, so just in case anyone was wondering, I didn't want any misunderstandings. Anyway, we're getting to the filling in of the eyes, and my favorite thing to draw in drawings are usually the eyes, as cliche as it is, because I like drawing portraits because of the expression that they can hold, and the eyes are normally one of the most expressive parts about portraits, so it's one of my favorite things to draw. It was so weird drawing my own, because I was like, it's something I see every day, but then putting it onto paper was kind of like a, this is interesting. Another thing you may be noticing is the sniffing sound that I continue to be making, and that is actually from a condition I have called Tourette's, and it is characterized by uncontrollable vocalizations or movements. And so those are actually called tics, and so one of my tics is sniffing. So I'm not sick, it's just my Tourette's, and that is actually probably something I will talk about later in another video because it's a very interesting condition that does affect my art sometimes, and it's interesting. I'll definitely talk more about it later. Another thing you'll see me doing right now is I'm actually adding the cheeks, and as you can see, my cheeks are a bit blotchy, and that is because I have a condition called rosacea, where basically my cheeks are really red. And in a colored drawing, this would not be much of a problem, but because it's in black and white, if this is executed poorly, it can look like I got punched in the face. So if you actually look back, you can kind of see me hesitating around the cheek, because I was very scared of how it's going to turn out. It turned out way better than I thought it would, so I'm pretty proud of it, but that's something that I was very scared to draw. I started taking drawing seriously about 5 years ago, and I started doing realism 3 years ago, when I drew hands. My logic was that you always had a reference if you drew hands, so I drew hands nearly every day. They started getting better and better. I decided to start drawing portraits, and that's where my love of the human face came in. Other than drawing hands and faces, I draw fruit, and that's actually how I got into color. Was I would use fruit to practice my coloring. Anyway, something you're about to see coming up here is, when I draw the forehead, is I am going to use my finger to blend, and I only use my finger to blend when there's a large area that I need to cover and I don't want it to look too streaky, or if I'm really frustrated, which is a weird habit of mine, but when I'm really frustrated with a drawing, I use my finger to blend. One thing that I was very happy about with this drawing was the fact that I did not have to draw hair, because I do not like drawing hair. What I ended up doing for my self-portrait was I just filled it in and then added a slight bit of fuzz to get the shaved head look. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but for some reason, I really enjoy drawing the ear. It's always fun. It's something you can kind of take your time with, but also relax with, because normally the ear is not the focal point of the drawing, so you can kind of just relax. The neck is a little bit cut off here. That's my fault. But anyway, we're starting to draw the neck, and I always have a weird fear of drawing the neck, because sometimes it doesn't turn out the same texture as the face, and so it just kind of looks really off and doesn't look balanced. And so moving on to the circles, this was for an art class, and the self-portrait was supposed to mean something about us. So I chose yellow circles for two reasons. One, the yellow circles are supposed to remind you of the sun, and I, as a person, am very bright and happy the way you would imagine the sun. And that also goes for the yellow color. It's just a very enthusiastic, bright, outgoing color, and I feel like that's the type of person I am, is very bright and outgoing, very in your face and bold. And I thought that yellow would be the perfect way to portray that. The blending isn't what it could have been because I actually lost my white Prismacolor pencil before I drew this. But either way, I kind of like how it turned out. The drawing is also flipped upside down because I did not want to smear the graphite. Anyway, moving on to the flowers on the neckline, the flowers are supposed to symbolize growth, because as a person, like any person, I've grown a lot. 5 years ago, I really wouldn't recognize myself. I've gone through a lot of phases, and so I use the flowers to symbolize how I've grown and how I will continue to grow as a person, like a garden. Anyway, this first flower is really bad. I guess I just forgot how to use colored pencils, because it really sucks. But anyway, the rest aren't as bad as that one. That was just a really bad flower for some reason. Now, as I was working on coloring in the garden, my mom actually came in at some point and handed me my white Prismacolor pencil that I had been looking for weeks. I'm a very forgetful person, and I have no idea how she found it because I have been looking for it everywhere for so long. And in case anyone was wondering, I don't know what type of flowers these are. I did have a reference, I did not follow it very well, and I didn't even know the names of the flowers in the reference. Anyway, we're nearing the end of the video. I'm getting the final touches in, I'm filling in the final flowers, and honestly, I'm pretty proud of how this turned out. I'm very happy. Anyways, this is it. This is the final product. I do think that the color scheme could have been more planned out, but this was kind of rushed because I really wanted to finish it tonight, and I did. And I'm pretty proud of it. Once again, it's been a while since I've done a self-portrait, and so kind of seeing this and seeing how I've improved is really, it's kind of crazy. But anyway, like and subscribe if you like it or want more, and I guess if you have suggestions, I'm kind of working on a bit. It's a little bit of a surprise. I'm going to be doing something for Halloween on my Instagram, but if you do have suggestions, leave them in the comments. I might be able to get to them one day. Anyway, thank you for watching.